started after the fair. The lights were bright, the music loud, and the smell of popcorn everywhere. I had gone with my friends, and we had laughed, won prizes, and rode every ride we could. But on the way home, something strange happened. I saw it first in the parking lot. A clown. Not a funny one, the kind that makes kids laugh. This one had a painted smile too wide, eyes too dark, and a wig that looked messy and wild. I shook my head. Probably someone working the fair, I told myself. But when I looked again, it was just standing there, staring at me. I hurried to my car and locked the doors. When I looked in the rearview mirror, it had moved. A little closer, my stomach twisted. "No," I whispered. I started driving, taking every turn I knew well, hoping it was just in my imagination. But when I glanced back, it was still there. Walking along the sidewalk, keeping up with my car step by step. At home, I ran inside and locked the door. I turned on every light and checked the windows. Nothing. I told my parents I had imagined it. They smiled and said, "Clowns aren't real, silly." I wanted to believe them. I tried to sleep, but then I heard it. A soft tap at the window. Tap, tap, tap. My heart jumped into my throat. I looked. The clown was there, outside, smiling, its eyes glinting in the porch light. I backed away. "Stay out!" I shouted. It didn't move, just stared. The next day I tried to ignore it. Maybe it would go away. But everywhere I went, school, the park, even the corner store, I felt it watching. Sometimes I'd turn a corner, and for a split second, I'd see bright red shoes peeking from behind a wall. Always watching, always silent. One night I tried to stay up to see if it would leave. I sat by the window, blanket around my shoulders. Around midnight I heard it. Soft footsteps on the driveway. I peered out. Nothing. I leaned closer and froze. The clown was sitting on the steps, head tilted like it was waiting. My hands shook. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to run, to call someone, but my phone died. I couldn't open the door. I felt trapped. Then it stood, slowly, and walked toward the street. I thought maybe it was leaving. Relief washed over me. But then it turned, looked straight at the window, and waved. Its painted smile never changed. I don't know how it followed me. Maybe it was a person. Maybe something else. But every time I leave the house now, I look over my shoulder. Every time I turn a corner at night, I see a flash of red and yellow, and I hear soft, slow footsteps. We thought it was a fair prank. A harmless joke, but it wasn't. The clown followed me home, and I'm not sure it's ever gonna leave. Everyone in the small town of Willow Creek knew about the old circus that came once a year. Bright tents, fun music, and laughter filled the streets. But there was one part of the circus people did not talk about. One part that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It was the clown. No one knew the clown's real name. People just called him Mr. Giggles. At first he seemed normal. He wore the bright red nose, baggy shoes, and a colorful suit. He waved at children, told funny jokes, and performed tricks that left everyone smiling. But there was something strange about him, something in his eyes that felt wrong. It all started one rainy October evening. Tommy, a boy of 12, was walking home after the circus show. The streets were empty and the rain made puddles everywhere. Suddenly, he saw Mr. Giggles standing under a street lamp, smiling. But Tommy didn't remember the clown leaving the circus. The clown waved at him and whispered, "Come closer, Tommy." Tommy froze. Something about the way Mr. Giggles said his name sent shivers down his spine. He ran home panting, but he couldn't stop thinking about the clown. That night he heard tapping on his window. When he looked outside, there was no one there, except a single red balloon floating in the wind. The next day, Tommy tried to tell his parents, but they laughed. "It's just a clown, Tommy. Don't scare yourself." But Tommy wasn't the only one. In the following weeks, other children saw the clown too. Some said he appeared in mirrors when no one was behind them. Others said he whispered secrets that nobody could understand. Worried, Tommy and his friends decided to tell the police. They ran to the station and explained everything. But the officers did not take notes. They exchanged nervous looks. One officer finally said, "We don't talk about that clown." The words scared Tommy more than the clown ever could. Why would the police refuse to talk? What was so dangerous that even they avoided it? Days passed and the sightings grew stranger. People reported seeing the clown in empty houses, standing silently in front of their doors. Sometimes he was there for hours, never moving, just smiling. Tommy started noticing that when Mr. Giggles appeared, bad things happened. Pets went missing, windows broke, and shadows moved in the corners of rooms. One night, Tommy couldn't sleep. The wind howled, and he heard soft laughter outside his window. He peeked out and saw Mr. Giggles standing under the street lamp again. This time the clown was holding a large old book. Tommy felt a pull, like the clown was calling him closer. Summoning all his courage, Tommy grabbed his flashlight and ran outside. As soon as he reached the street, the clown vanished. Only the book remained on the wet ground. Tommy picked it up and saw strange drawings of children and clowns, written in messy letters. At the bottom of the page was a single warning: "Do not follow me. I see you. Always." Tommy ran home and never told anyone about the book. The police continued to avoid the topic. The circus came again the next year, and the town laughed, unaware of the danger lurking behind the bright tents. But Tommy never forgot the clown, and sometimes, when the wind whispered through the trees, he could swear he heard a soft, chilling giggle coming closer. No one knew why the police refused to talk about Mr. Giggles. Some said he was more than a clown. Some said he could see into people's homes and even their minds. And some whispered that once the clown chose someone, there was no escape. From that day on, Tommy always checked the shadows. He never trusted a smile too wide or shoes too big. And every October when the circus came, he stayed indoors listening for the giggle that could mean the clown was near, waiting. It started with a photo. Mia's little brother Leo had just learned to use her mom's old camera. He was excited to take pictures of the family in the backyard. When they looked at the pictures later, everything seemed normal, except for one detail. In the corner of every photo, behind the trees or near the fence, there was a clown. No one remembered seeing the clown that day. He wasn't there when the pictures were taken. His face was painted white with a wide red smile and dark hollow eyes. He wore a colorful suit, but it looked dirty and old. Mia's parents laughed nervously. "It's probably a trick of the camera," they said, but Mia knew it wasn't. The next day, Mia's best friend Jasmine wanted to take selfies in the park. When they checked the photos, there he was again. The clown was closer this time, standing behind a bench. Mia's stomach twisted with fear. How could the same clown appear in photos no one remembered taking? Mia tried to tell her parents, but they didn't take her seriously. "It's just your imagination," her mom said. Even Leo shrugged, too young to understand. But Mia noticed something strange. Every time someone took a picture, no matter where, the clown appeared. Not always in the same place, but always watching. Curious and terrified, Mia decided to investigate. She borrowed her cousin's camera and took pictures of the empty streets near her house. When she looked at the photos later, the clown appeared again. This time, he was closer than ever, almost stepping out of the frame. His eyes seemed to follow her. The next day, Mia went to the local police station. She showed the photos to the officers, hoping they could explain it. The room was quiet for a long time. Then one officer said, "We don't deal with things like this." Another muttered, "Some things are better left alone." Mia left the station feeling colder than the winter wind outside. That night, Mia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the clown and the way he appeared in every photo. She decided to take one last picture of her bedroom before going to bed. When she looked at the photo on her camera, the clown was there again, sitting at the foot of her bed, grinning. Mia's heart pounded. She threw the camera across the room and it smashed on the floor. She tried to forget about the photos, but the memory haunted her. Every time she closed her eyes, she could see his hollow eyes, always watching, always smiling. The next week, Mia noticed something worse. Friends who visited her house began reporting strange things. Their photos included the clown, too. Some even said they saw him standing behind them when no one else was in the room. Soon it was impossible to escape his presence. The police still refused to help. Every officer Mia tried to talk to avoided her gaze, changed the subject, or simply walked away. That only made her more certain that this clown was not just a trick or a coincidence. He was something else, something dangerous. Now Mia always keeps her camera off. She avoids group photos and refuses to share pictures online. She doesn't want to see him again. But sometimes, when she scrolls through old photos, she notices faint shapes in the background, watching. The clown is still there, waiting, always. And she knows one thing: the clown will never stop appearing. It started on a quiet summer evening. Alex was walking home from his friend's house when he noticed a small circus tent set up in the park. He had never seen it before. The lights were dim, the music soft, and the air smelled faintly of popcorn. Something about it felt strange, but curiosity pulled him closer. Inside, the circus was almost empty. A few people wandered through the booths, but most of the seats were vacant. Then he saw the clown. He was standing in the center of the ring, juggling balls that shined in the low light. His suit was bright, his shoes oversized, and his painted smile stretched too wide. But what unsettled Alex the most was that the clown looked directly at him. "Alex," the clown said, his voice soft but clear. Alex froze. Nobody knew his name. How could this clown know him? He stepped back. I don't know you," he stammered. The clown tilted his head, still smiling. "Oh, I know you. I've been waiting." Then he disappeared behind a curtain, just like smoke in the air. Alex ran home thinking it was a trick, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The next day, strange things started happening. Alex would hear his name whispered in empty rooms. His reflection in mirrors seemed to move differently, as if someone was standing behind him. Worst of all, when he looked at old photos from school, the clown was in the background, smiling at him. Alex tried to tell his parents, but they dismissed it. You're imagining things, Alex. It's just a dream, his mom said. But Alex knew what he saw. He began keeping a journal, writing down every time he heard his name or saw the clown. One evening, Alex decided to face the circus again. The tent had returned, though he didn't see it during the day. Inside, the clown was waiting, standing silently in the middle of the ring. He didn't juggle this time. He just stared. "Alex," he said again, walking closer. "I know you better than you know yourself." Alex felt his knees shake. "What do you want?" The clown smiled wider, and Alex noticed his eyes were black, like empty holes. "Just to play," he said. Then he vanished again, leaving a single red balloon floating where he had stood. Alex wanted to run, but his feet felt glued to the spot. The following week, Alex's friends began reporting strange encounters too. They said they saw a clown watching them from shadows, and sometimes they could hear their names whispered when no one was around. It became clear that this clown didn't just know Alex, he knew everyone. Alex tried to tell the police. He showed them photos, journal entries, even the red balloon. But they refused to investigate. Every officer he spoke to looked uneasy, and one said quietly, "Some things are better left alone." Now Alex avoids mirrors and empty streets at night. He keeps his camera off, never takes photos, and never goes near circuses. But he knows the clown is still out there, always watching. And sometimes, when he's alone in his room, he hears a soft voice whisper, "Alex." And he knows it's only a matter of time before the clown knows his name again. It was Halloween night, and the streets of our town were full of children laughing and running from house to house. My friends and I had spent all week planning our costumes. I was dressed as a pirate, Mia was a witch, and Leo had the scariest skeleton outfit I had ever seen. Everything was perfect, or so we thought. As the sun went down, we walked toward the old Thompson house at the end of the street. Everyone in town said it was haunted, but it had been empty for years. We had been warned to stay away, but curiosity always wins over fear at our age. "Maybe we'll just take a quick look," Leo whispered, grinning. The front gate creaked as we pushed it open. The wind was cold, and the leaves rustled like whispers around our feet. We laughed nervously, telling each other it was all part of the Halloween fun. The house was dark, but through the cracked windows, we could see a shadow moving inside. "It's probably just a decoration," Mia said. "They put a mannequin in there." We stepped onto the porch, our hearts beating fast. The door was slightly open. I reached for it, and it swung wide with a loud creak. Inside, the air was thick and musty. There were cobwebs everywhere, and old furniture covered in white sheets. Then we saw it. Someone, or something, was standing at the end of the hallway. It wore a long black cloak and a mask that looked like a skull. Leo stepped forward.
"Hey!"
"Cool costume," he called out. The figure didn't move. We laughed nervously, but there was no response. Then the lights flickered on, and that's when we realized it wasn't a costume. The figure slowly lifted its head and its eyes were glowing red. It let out a low, hollow sound, like the wind howling through a cave. We froze. Mia tried to scream, but no sound came out. The thing started moving toward us, slowly at first, then faster. We turned and ran, crashing through the old living room, knocking over chairs and vases. Outside, the wind was stronger, almost pushing us down the steps. We didn't stop running until we reached the street, panting and shaking. The Thompson house was silent again, as if nothing had happened. We told ourselves it was our imagination. Maybe it was just the moonlight, the shadows, or a reflection of the street lamp. But later that night, when I got home and looked in the mirror, I saw something I didn't want to see. A dark figure stood behind me for just a moment before disappearing. I told my parents it was nothing, but deep down, I knew we hadn't imagined it. The next day, we tried to go back to the Thompson house. The gate was chained and locked, and all the neighbors swore the house had been empty for years, with no one living there. But we knew what we had seen. We had thought it was a costume, but it wasn't. Even now, every time I hear a creak in the house or see a shadow move across my room, I remember that Halloween night. And I wonder, what was really in the Thompson house? And why had it been waiting for us? It was the summer fair, and everyone in town was excited. Rides spun in bright colors, the smell of popcorn filled the air, and laughter echoed from every corner. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. People said a new clown had come to town. Funny and friendly, they said, but I kept seeing him out of the corner of my eye. He never smiled like the other clowns. At first, I thought I was imagining it. The clown's red nose was too bright, his shoes too big, and his laugh, it sounded wrong. He didn't move around like the other performers. Instead, he seemed to follow me wherever I went, vanishing whenever anyone else looked. "It's just a costume," I told myself. "It's a joke." The first night I was walking past the Ferris wheel when I saw him standing near the entrance. He tipped his hat at me and slowly clapped his hands. No one else seemed to notice. My stomach twisted. "He's just doing his act," I whispered to Leo, who was beside me. But Leo shook his head. "I don't see anyone," he said. That night, I had nightmares. The clown stood at the foot of my bed, holding a balloon that said my name. His painted smile stretched wider and wider until it was more shadow than paint. I woke up screaming, but the room was empty. Or so I thought. The next day, the clown appeared again, this time near the cotton candy stand. He didn't talk. He just stared at me with those dark eyes. I tried to ignore him, tried to act normal, but my friends started noticing my fear. "Why are you so jumpy?" Mia asked. I didn't tell them. How could I explain that the clown only appeared when I was alone? By the third day, I was sure he wasn't part of the fair. He moved differently than humans. Sometimes, I'd see him disappear behind a booth or walk through a wall. Once I swear he winked at me. That's when I realized he wasn't random. He only targeted me. One evening, I decided to confront him. I found him behind the haunted house, standing perfectly still. I stepped closer. "Who are you?" I asked. He tilted his head, the smile never leaving his face. Then he whispered in a voice that sounded like the wind through dead trees. "I'm here for you." I ran. I ran faster than I ever had, and for the first time I didn't care about the fair or my friends. I hid behind the bumper cars, trembling. When I finally looked up, the clown was gone. But I knew he hadn't left. He was waiting. The next day, I didn't go to the fair. I told my parents I was sick. I spent the whole morning watching the windows, waiting for any sign of him. And then I saw it. A single red balloon floating down the street, tied to a little note. I didn't want to read it, but I had to. On it were 3 words. "See you soon." Even now, every time I hear laughter in the distance, I check behind me. I see shadows that aren't mine. And I remember that the clown doesn't chase everyone, only me.